What's going on, y'all? Thank you for checking in with Callie. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already. So, where we are now, I've heard all the hoopla. I've heard all the negative comments about the Clippers, and just basically to the point of I'm sick of hearing about it. And don't get me wrong, I know the Clippers have a lot of elder statesmen on the team. They have a lot of players who are, I would say maybe not a lot, but they have players that are Hall of Fame bound. They have players that are out of their prime, and they have a lot of experience on the team as well, which a lot of people might not be speaking on. But the experience part is good, but youth is better. And I understand that, because if that's what a lot of media is saying, like a few media people I've heard, Kendrick Perkins being one of them, and, a few others, I definitely get where they're coming from if they're looking at it from that perspective. The only thing I will say in defense of the Clippers, the experience that they do have will definitely benefit them if they're going into a playoff run. If they're in the playoffs, which I believe they definitely will be, I believe their experience will put them over the top against a lot of teams, especially in the Western Conference. Because when you look at teams like Denver, they have the roster to beat Denver now. They got a bench that's more loaded. They have a Chris Paul who's older but still can get you 6 or 7 assists a game with about 7 to 10 points a game. Don't turn the ball over, and he's pretty reliable as far as being accountable in regards to being there. He played 82 games last year, or 81 games last year at his age. That says a lot. And coming off the bench with the Clippers, he'll have a lot more rest, and he'll have control of the second unit how he needs to, and keep the offense flowing when at times with the Clippers, the offense gets stagnant when Kawhi is not playing at his level, or he's not out there, or James Harden is actually choking in games. So now you have more balance in your roster in regards to you can go to your bench and rely on Chris Paul getting guys wide open shots, or getting them shots in their position where they like it, and putting them in position to score. And it might allow him to score as well, just because of the attention that he might draw and how he's finding guys to get high percentage shots just because of his basketball IQ. That bodes well for the Clippers. And I know a lot of it's an if, because you have to wonder if this team stays healthy. And it's always been that way with the Clippers, really, because with Kawhi Leonard on your team, you have a chance to win a championship because he's that good. But you don't know whether he's going to be available enough to help you win a championship. And that's been most of the time he's been there, along with other players who played there. And I know that's something that a lot of Clippers fans and a lot of basketball fans harp on. But the good thing is there are 2 players on the Clippers right now between James Harden and Chris Paul who are usually very reliable in regards to being there throughout the season and in playoffs. They just don't show up the way Kawhi Leonard does in clutch moments, which is the reason why I would say Kawhi is definitely a better player than those 2 players if we're comparing their careers, because Kawhi has missed way more games than both of those players have ever missed, probably. But he's done a whole lot more than both of those players have ever accomplished in their lives. So it's like, you could look at an MVP here for James Harden or something like that, but it doesn't amount to a finals MVP. Kawhi has 2 of those. And he went the distance, and he carried a team to a championship, and he's led teams to a championship being the guy when he came in the league as a defensive player, not even a scorer. So regardless of all that, if he's healthy at that time, that's going to put the Clippers in position to be a contender. And with you having 2 players in Chris Paul and James Harden who pretty much stay healthy and, pretty much plays a whole season just about, Kawhi can rest even more. Not saying I really want Kawhi to take off games or anything like that, not even, implementing that. But, if he does take off games, if he does do those things, he has 2 guys on the team that can keep the offense afloat, keep them winning games, keep their offense balanced. And when he comes back into the mix, he can implement what he does. Because Kawhi is the type of player you can plug him in anywhere. He's still good defensively. He still can disrupt on defense. He still commands respect on the defensive side of the floor. And throughout the last, several years of his career, he's definitely demands respect on the offensive side as well. So with that being said, the Clippers are a dangerous team, no matter how old they are or how much jokes people keep making about how, everybody on their team pretty much can, go in the Hall of Fame now and retire. They'll be in the Hall of Fame tomorrow. I see the jokes and the Twitter jokes, X and all that stuff, and the media talking all those things. But if the Clippers do stay healthy, if they do have, everybody there at the right time, I think they could make a run. I really do. And like I said, they still got good defensive players and DJ, Chris Dunn, Batum is still there. He got one more good year left in him, I think. You got Kawhi, of course, and Harden. I'll even throw in John Collins defensively. Defensively, John Collins is good. And he can give you about 16, 17 points a game too. I'm not the biggest John Collins fan, but he could be looked at as a 3-and-D guy. His shooting percentage from three was not that bad last year, but he's not really. I never really looked at him as a 3-and-D guy because he doesn't affect the game like most 3-and-D guys that you know of does. He doesn't affect the game that well. And maybe that's due to the fact of the teams that he was on. The Atlanta Hawks and the Utah Jazz are not two teams where you're going to stand out that much and you're going to have much opportunity to be seen. So, we have to give him a little bit of an edge there or a little bit of credit there. So maybe we'll see a lot more of the Clippers because Ty Lue will put him in better positions than other teams did. So you got him. And you got Bradley Beal, let's not forget about him, who can drop 17, 20 points a game like he did last year, somewhere in that range, and shoot a decent percentage. And who knows, his production might go up just because. So, there again, they got guys that's veterans on the team that's been in the league a long time, who's put up a lot of points, who's been a staple in the league for a while. But these guys all put together at the right time can make a run to the NBA Finals. And I think they can make a run to the NBA Finals quite easily if they're healthy because they're balanced defensively and offensively. No other team is stacked the way they are. No other team in the NBA. So the only thing that can hold them back is their health. Because if they're all on the floor and they have some type of chemistry, it's going to be hell for any team that plays them in a 7-game series. It really is. Whereas you can get over on the Clippers. Like the Denver Nuggets got over on them last year because they didn't have guys who can finish. You know what I mean? But with the bounce scoring and the bounce defense that they have, they're going to finish games quite well. If they're actually in a tight game, they'll be able to execute plays at a high level. If the game is waning, coming down to the last moments, and it's a tie ball game for some reason because you got Chris Paul there. You still got James Harden who can facilitate as well, as long as he don't turn the ball over. And you got Kawhi who is a marksman and shoots high percentages, only takes high percentage shots 90% of the time. And you got other guys who play defensive very well, and you got a few 3-and-D guys. So, with all that combined, all Ty Lue has to do is put them in the right position. And I think this team will silence their doubters and hey, they can go all the way and go the distance and possibly win it.